Welcome to Grow Overload. And as we're starting to see AI take off more and more, right? We have Copilot and Gemini and chatgpt and everyone else and their brother and sister are going to have AIs pretty soon. And while some AIs I think are going to be really helpful, I think of them as assistive intelligence, right? They're assisting you out, making your life easier, trying to help you get a item accomplished or something in that form. We have other ones where I am kind of concerned if they are just going to all die in the courts, right? Um, the question I propose, I was talking to somebody about this, is with some of the stuff that's coming up, does AI actually die in the courts? Now, I think that there's going to be a spot for it in certain sections and maybe helping out companies with things or getting stuff done. But does AI get limited in the general, for the general access because of how it's trained and everything else by the court systems, right? And we saw Gemini this past week, and it's crazy answers and images because of how it was created, or its data set that it was going off of, or its constrictions that it has. And while Google says we need to fix this and everything else, no, really, you got to fix it. It was pretty bad. Does that, all of a sudden, if somebody then figures out, well, it was defaming me, right? It told me about something that is untrue. Is there going to be a legal quagmire to go through just to be able to get AIs going? I was reading another article on Neowin saying Microsoft and OpenAI, this is the headline, get hit with lawsuits by more news organizations, right? News organizations are going off, and they're talking about how the 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 news that they were used to train this AI was not, did not show the copyright information, did not show who the author was, did not show the references. And while AIs are probably going to have some references, are probably going to have a system of coming up with, here's how we got the answers, here's some interpretations. If you're just going, this is just me thinking, if you're just going to go off of what is out there and it has to be word for word, and you don't have an interpretation style, is that really an AI then? Or is that just a huge, search engine encyclopedia specific to more curated answers than what you already have? uh, there are there are questions out there I have about this. You know, somebody was on there. I was running another article from NeoWin about Copilot going unhinged, a super or supremacy AIG, kind of a little concerning there, right? And there are a multitude of options that you have for AI, right? There's different things that you can target, different things that you can have for it. And I do have concerns that eventually this will just be in, and maybe there'll be laws eventually that kind of rein this in, but the start of it could get in such legal quagmire and just legalese, and companies and organizations and people going after these AIs with whatever they said or what information they used. We even saw on Twitter, right? Twitter saying you were training your AI based upon Twitter without paying us, right? Or having that access without permission. These things could get very hairy quickly, especially when there's a dollar amount attached to it, right? Let's say a legal case were to go through and somebody gets a lot of cash out of it. All of a sudden, lawyers are going to see an opportunity, and anyone with an opportunity to sue, the lawyers are going to hook onto, and people as well, and they're going to want their money out of these companies that either had bad information that was created, or there was information out there that it said that is completely false, right? And then I've seen it where you ask it to look up a tweet or to go and see if somebody said something, right? And it parses and manipulates the tweet there was never a Twitter or information that somebody ever said this, but it'll say the tweet is from said this, and that tweet never doesn't exist. It does, you know, and when you have stuff like that, that is the that's where, you know, I'm sure there's lawyers and everyone looking at this that has the opportunity to really kill off AI. And while I like technology, you know, and while technology I feel like needs to be, you know, used for good, technology should, you know, to me, technology really needs to fade the background. And technology just needs to bring access to people so that they can get their work done more efficiently and be able to not be hung up on the tech, but to the tech to be able to work for them. And if this AI stuff is going to be more of a hindrance, along with all the legalese that may come with it, does it eventually just die out because nobody wants to use it, or there's so many restrictions on using it, or it has to be developed internally for a company to be able to use it? You know, if you have all these things, does it just die out because of the courts, right? That, and I can see a path where that does happen. Do I hope that happens? No, but there is a pathway. And you know, I think Elon has even said something like this, like we should, you know, proceed with caution. We should proceed with an idea of what we need this to be so we can have a proper, you know, idea of this. And I was of the mindset, let's get it out there and let's, you know, get this something working and then tweak it. Except it seems like what we're doing is we're kind of you know, getting it out there with some form of idea of what we want and not letting it just be like an AI or an assistant, you know, there, or something that can really process, but it has to go through a lens of what we want. And there's certain aspects where I think, yeah, you know, legally you don't want to be caught up in some, you know, bending across the law, or, you know, getting into the law side of things. But on the other hand, is that if you put too many restrictions on and stops and everything else while the AI is trying to create something, you know, there's a whole program section of this. Does that cause the problem that it's going to create all these other problems downstream, which then creates the legalese for everything else? Um, you know, maybe we do need more foresight of, hey, you know, we have to go into this with certain rules or restrictions, and those certain rules and restrictions are kind of their guardrails, and those guardrails then kind of keep the AI in it so that it's not, it can say what is inside this information system, but filtering it through a lens or whatever else, that's something we're not going to do. This is still in the early stages, this is still learning, but it's just something I've been thinking about here. And I want to know what your thoughts are on where you think, do you think the courts could literally, if not kill AI, but nerf it to a point where it's really not an AI, it's just kind of a search? Do you think that there are things there that, um, it's, or a more advanced search? Do you think that there's things there that would actually prevent this, you know, from really taking off? Kind of, I guess you're, from my perspective, really taking off to where I see it kind of going, of being a huge, or being a big help to people and to what they're trying to accomplish? Or do you think the AI is just going to be like, yeah, it's just going to go on forever and there's going to be no restrictions? I'm really curious, or some form thereof. Let me know in the comments below where you're seeing all this. You know, I think with all the hardware and what it's capable of, there's great opportunity here. I do worry about, though, kind of the legalese side of things, because we've seen elsewhere where, who knows, right? Where laws can get in and really stifle it and neuter the technology completely. There is that aspect of it too. Um, you know, I have some concerns with AI, and I always have, and I think if you watch some of my other AI videos, you'll see those concerns, and hopefully I portrayed them in here. I'm just taking the aspect of more at this time, can the court really kill it off? And that would be a concerning thing, right? If they start, if some of these cases start winning, you have OpenAI, right, and Microsoft getting hit. Let's say Gemini starts doing this, and now Google gets hit with some of these lawsuits as well, and anybody else creating a public AI gets hit with lawsuits because of their information they're using and what the information is. I think that this also then comes down to, with copyright and everything else, maybe who's owning the information. Maybe we need to take a step back and say, well, the information now is maybe owned by entities, and you can't have too many degrees of freedom of that information, right? It has to stay within a certain parameter set, because the originator of the information, let's say it was the author, and it can't go too many, degrees of freedom from that because of legal requirements or whatever else, right? There could be laws like that have this. And I'm thinking here from the United States standpoint, well, and the world of all being on one type of restrictions. What happens if laws get involved and it's different for every country? Then you got these restrictions based upon regions of these AIs. At what point does AI is great, right? AI is going to the moon, everything else, and all of a sudden you're sitting in restriction mess, and you just can't figure out where to go next because of every single stop you have of the restrictions. So a couple ideas I have on this, or thoughts I had on, is AI going to die or not? And let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I hope it doesn't, right? I still see AI right now as an assistive intelligence, and I think that can be very helpful as an assistive intelligence. I just hope that it just doesn't get completely, crushed by the courts, and it really kind of nerfs it. Because one last thing before I go, let's say that it does get nerfed, and then it just slows the progress of AI to a point of, will people lose interest in it to actually wanting to use it down the line? VR, right? Stuff like that has been really slow to growth, and while VR looks cool and everything else, maybe there might be some price stuff in there that's holding it back too, or whatever else. But when you have slow to growth, people do seem to lose interest, and that can be another downside. But I want to thank you guys for watching Gray Overload and helping this channel grow. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, watch another one of my videos. It really does help out the channel. And until next time, God bless.